Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Almighty Blues FC, a fan channel for all to see. And I'm pretty sure today, everyone's got to see this because I think it has to be said that this is a moment that I've been waiting for on the channel. And I remember it was like about a year ago. I was on Ellie's channel, that is obviously Elizabeth we're talking about, that we did discuss. I was lucky enough to be on the channel on a call-in show on the Champions League final. And, we did discuss about me having a new channel and kind of it being inspiring. And Ellie, welcome to the channel. It's been a long wait, but worth it as well. Talking about the Champions League final, pretty sure that was one of the moments that you cherish as a Chelsea fan. But
Uh,
Aspi lifting the cup, was that your favorite ever Chelsea moment till now? What's your favorite moment?
I don't know. Yeah, if I'm thinking strictly about like games, I would say probably, well, the Champions League final as a whole, because I didn't know when I would get to see us lift that trophy like in my lifetime, because we had been a while like not doing so fantastic as I would have hoped in that competition. But obviously, Thomas Tuchel turned it around. And I remember that day just tweeting, like, Azpilicueta is a Champions League winner. Mason Mount is a Champions League winner. And I think the thing, especially with Aspie, is that he's just. He's one of the best in my opinion, and
Absolutely.
it was something that I was really hoping that he would get to win, and so I was very happy for him when he did win.
Absolutely, and for people, just in case you don't know, come on. So Elizabeth herself is a fantastic content creator. One of the contents that I really loved watching always. Like I remember when I was in lockdown and I was kind of abroad at the time. Her channel is one of the channels that I really saw kind of grow, and that was for a reason. And Aspi, she's a huge fan of Aspi. Pretty sure he deserves it as well, and vice versa. And Elizabeth, just to kind of share with you, I am as well. And for people who are regular watchers of the channel, know it that I want Aspi until he's 40. I'm in that category. That's how I am. But I have to ask this question. I know a difficult question to begin. Of course, big up to everyone who's joined. Hopefully, everyone's liked the stream and checked out Elizabeth's content. In case you've not, please do. It's always linked in the description below. So, Aspi potentially be going to Barcelona. Still, there, I believe, thinking as per the reports in the last couple of days. The fact that now, obviously, huge moment for us as a Chelsea fan, because we've got Koulibaly in, we've got Sterling in, and looks like Ake is, through the door almost. So do you see that's kind of enough to kind of get the leadership going that we might miss with Aspi, or do you think Aspi's got to stay? As in, again, just as a neutral, I would like to answer you that question. I know what the answer is going to be, but yeah, just for sure.
I mean, I think my preference would be that he stays. But I'm a bit by I have a very I try to be as rational as possible on my channel always, but I have a hard time being rational about Aspie because I'm just a massive fan of his. And I think that he could still have a role to play in the team, especially with this new ownership regime, kind of making sure that the transfer between Roman and now Taboli goes smoothly, that the team goes smoothly. But that being said, I would never want to hold him back if it's something that he really wants to do. I know that it's a World Cup year as well, which is kind of fueling a lot of players' transfers because they want to make sure that they're having set playing time, and especially with the amount of center backs and defenders that I think that will be signing and should sign, I do think that Aspie would take a backseat this season. I don't think last season he was even meant to be playing as much as he did, but it just happened with the amount of injuries that we had. Um,
Exactly.
but
You know
I
what?
think, yeah,
You make a great point because the fact that he played so much, maybe he was not, expecting to play that much as well. Probably even Thomas Tuchel did not expect him to play that much. But maybe that kind of at the end of the day comes, as in totality, he plays so much, so that's why he didn't kind of, continue the way that we expect him to. And I know there was this crazy record, right? For something like, since the time he was signed, there was not a single foul he made which led to a direct goal. I know that kind of finally he had to give away that record. But I think that proves in it, right? Because he's so consistent that even when he doesn't have like one or two consistent months, people are like, okay, Aspie's finished. But I think it's far from it, right? As in again, maybe he's not. I know you remember Ivanovic, the way he ended, legend of
yeah.
a player, absolutely for us. But the way he ended, it was kind of a steep decline. Aspie, surely that's not the case, is it?
No, and I think the thing with Aspie that is that he's just super reliable. And I think that if he's not playing as much, we're going to see like more in the tank, because like I said, I just felt that he was playing like almost every single game you don't expect for Reece James and Ben Chilwell to get injured. He was even covering for Ben on the left wing or left wing back because Tuchel didn't want to start Alonso in some matches. So I think that if you can kind of like pick and choose and he has more time to rest as well, he can still be an asset to the team for sure.
Absolutely. And yes, a lot of comments coming in about the new signings, talking about assets. We definitely have our assets increase for sure. Yes, a lot of outgoings, as in obviously Lukaku, Christensen, Rudiger, of course. Those are the outgoings that we had. But again, finally, we made signings. That's like breaking news for everyone out there who don't know. Like, come on. Like, again, there are a few people who joined. So this is for everyone out there. Yes, we are going to be talking about the new signings, what basically Chelsea's plans are, but not just Chelsea. For people out there, in case you don't know, Elizabeth has been, officially on the Premier League, broadcasting as well. So that is something that I would like to share something with you all, and the growth that I just spoke about for people who were there from the beginning. So this is something that I actually something wanted to show something just for people in case you didn't know. So that's how. This is Elizabeth, obviously on Premier League, right? And we all, especially people in Asia, watch it all the time. Trust me, they know, right? And she was on Chelsea TV, of course, first up, but check out her growth. And her channel was already there, and then obviously, on Premier League, she was on the panel, but remotely. So initially, but then this is where it all kind of changed, I believe. She was actually there very much so, and then obviously Olivia, people definitely know. And Elizabeth, if I'm not wrong, you were actually at Wembley, right? You were at Wembley for a match. You actually covered stuff. So
Yeah,
that was like fantastic.
I was lucky enough to do some work for Chelsea actually, and
Great.
I got to go pitch side and create content for them for both the men and women's FA Cup finals, which was a dream come true. It was just like super surreal for me.
Pretty sure, pretty sure. And you know what? I was equally proud. I remember messaging her on this particular day itself that, okay, Chelsea are actually covering it rather than you covering Chelsea. And that's something great. Absolutely fantastic, right? And of course, someone who actually also lives in Madrid, if I'm not wrong. So,
Yep.
that's how she's gotten to even cover, matches for Atletico Madrid. So that was fantastic, everyone. Like, let's have Elizabeth OP in the chat because I think she perfectly deserves everything. And that's also to say the content. So please do subscribe. It'll mean a lot if you can subscribe to Elizabeth's channel. I think she's very close to 12K, if I'm not wrong. So let's
Yeah,
help her
I'm
get to
like
12K for sure.
150 off 12K at the
Great,
moment.
great,
So getting there.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure Elizabeth's going to message me in a couple of days' time, like, Ankit, okay, fine. I kind of got to 12K, and I'll be like, definitely, you deserve more than that as well. But even coming back to the comments and the signings, I think most of the comments, and yes, a lot of Chelsea fans are house, they want to kind of hear your reactions on the signings. And breaking news, obviously, is Koulibaly. Yes, Sterling, we always knew that this is going to happen. This is just a matter of time. But Koulibaly, pretty sure this guy was kind of, I think we wanted Koulibaly back in the day under Antonio Conte or
Yeah.
even before that, correct? Probably, yeah, I'm seeing a tweet from Nizar Cancela that, yeah, it was Antonio Conte that was actually very keen on signing Koulibaly, right? But he's 31-year-old, Ellie. So Chelsea, we knew in the past, like talk about Aspi, talk about Ivanovic and people like that, right? We always went for a 1 year extension, but he's a 31-year-old. Maybe Thiago Silva has been a difference maker, and that's what the strategy has changed. You think it's only fair that we'll probably, be able to sign better players who are, better right now, right?
Yeah, I think it's really a change of the new regime, and you kind of see that automatic shift that Chelsea were quite risk averse to even extending our best players like John Terry, like Frank Lampard. And even with Thiago Silva, it was always like a 1 year deal, maybe an option to extend, and they keep doing like a year. Obviously, Thiago Silva's a bit older, but he's proved himself to be still one of the best center backs in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The number that I've seen floating around is maybe like a four. I think Liam Toomey tweeted it that it was 4 years with potentially a fifth option.
Yeah.
Nobody's like really so sure at this moment. I mean, I was a little bit surprised because I was thinking, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years would make sense because he is already 31, I think, 30,
Yeah,
31.
he's turning 31 in like a week. So he's like 31, you can
Yeah,
say.
so
Yeah.
31 basically. But that being said, I think that it's also positive that Chelsea are going for a player that has that leadership experience, because I think Rudiger despite being a great player, one of the main advantages or pluses for me was that he was also a great leader, and he was like kind of the one who would like rally the team and get everybody going and move, and he's always trying to make these runs and take these crazy shots. And I think that is going to be a big miss. So I'm super happy to see somebody who's a captain for Napoli, who's a captain for Senegal, and who I think is going to bring that leadership material
Yeah.
that we need. And I saw this really funny video on, I think it was ESPN, that it was like some defender that wasn't in their spot and he like pushed them to mark them, which, I just thought that was funny. Like, yes, that's like the type of mentality that we want to have at Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. And let me take a few comments. I know there are a lot of interesting questions in the comments. So one question, a very interesting question, was for Elizabeth, and that was like, who do you think after Aspi will become the captain? Like, I know you would say Jorginho by default, but again, in maybe if Tuchel changes the system, do you see Jorginho starting most games next season? And who's your captain?
Like, I think as long as Jorginho is at the club, it would probably, I would be surprised if they kind of like didn't just like shift it up. But I'm also not sure like if he's going to stay at the club. Like, maybe, I know he has another year on his contract, but his agent's kind of been talking about him wanting to return to Italy. It's always like up in the air every season whether or not he's going to stay. But I do think that we're probably going to play like definitely Kovacic, maybe Conor Gallagher is going to get us like more of a role in the team next season as well.
Hmm.
So I don't think that Jorginho is going to be playing every single game. Um,
Yeah,
but I would be surprised if the club allowed Aspie and Jorginho to leave in the same season. But if I'm
exactly,
taking
exactly.
Jorginho out of the equation, um, I don't know. For me, I think it's Mason Mount. I know he's young, but I just think that he's
He
like
is
considered
captain, right?
capable.
And a few cup games he has already, right? So I think that makes perfect sense because
Yeah.
he's someone who kind of commands leadership. He kind of commands by just his way. And again, for people out there who kind of, I know opposition fans also, because it's a fan channel for all to see. Like we say, I have a lot of subscribers and viewers. Welcome always. But opposition fans are like, okay, give us Mason Mount and Reece James. You know what? That's not happening. That's the reality of it. Both absolutely adore Chelsea, and both, in fact, in the last 24 hours have confirmed that. So hopefully we'll have Mason Mount, definitely taking more responsibility. I agree with the Ellie 100% there. And I know, talking about opposition fans, again, there is a view. I know Dishant is an Inter fan. To everyone who's hyped up, Koulibaly is definitely a good player, no doubt, but he's sometimes really sloppy, and intense league like Premier League, he is still a decent signing. Well, again, time will tell. Jury should be out that it's fair that he's coming to a Premier League, which is a new league for him. But at 31, you would imagine it's easier for him, having seen so much of football, to kind of adapt than someone who's younger, who's probably prone to mistakes. Ellie, would you go with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always kind of like pros and cons with each player that you have, and somebody who's young, maybe they'll take more time to adjust to the league, and they're going to have mistakes. I think with anybody who's transferring from a league that's not in the Premier League, there's always kind of like this built-in transition period. I mean, Thiago Silva didn't need it. I really thought that he would need it, and he didn't need it. But I always do like to give these players usually like
Yeah.
at least a year to kind of get adjusted to the pace of the Premier League. And maybe we'll see that in the first couple of games that, he doesn't have as much time on the ball as he's used to having in Italy, and that he has to make decisions quicker. But I do think that like, for me, it's not something that I'm super worried about. I think that hopefully he'll be able to get up to speed quickly, and he has Thiago Silva next to him, which is going to be massive. And the other thing that I think is really interesting about Koulibaly is that he plays as a left-sided center back of a back four, which is a
Correct.
formation that I've wanted to see Chelsea play in, and I'm hoping that we'll
I'm
see
with you. I'm with you.
Tuchel kind of move towards with the signings of Raheem Sterling and Koulibaly as well.
Yeah, you know what? I've been kind of one of those who's been telling my channel. I've been voicing it because I think this is an excellent excuse for Tuchel to kind of go back to a 4-3-3 or something like that, 4-1-4-1, which he kind of loved in his previous club. So let's see. As in, again, depends on what kind of other signings he get. But talking about Thiago Silva being extreme, like, we're pretty sure we are spoiled when it comes to basically players doing well in terms of Thiago Silva coming in, like, rocking it in the Premier League. But I think maybe that's the reason, because we have to give some time, and that's why I think it was Matt Law who actually quoted that, okay, Koulibaly is in, but there will be more. There are up to three signings which are kind of expected in terms of the defense. So, what are the other two signings that you're looking at? Aki is someone that you are invested upon. Ellie, how are you on Aki?
To be honest, like I watched him for a teensy bit when he was still at Chelsea, and then for City, I watched him in a couple of the games that I happen to watch City and that he happens to be playing. So I haven't seen him play so much recently, to be completely honest. But I think the thing with Ake is that he's a pretty versatile player. I think he can play in the center back spot or even as like a backup left back that we've seen him play for City, which is something that I think Tuchel's probably thinking about, knowing that maybe Marcos Alonso leaves either this summer or next, maybe Emerson leaves as well. So I do think he's a versatile player. He's not somebody who I would consider like this incredible, super talented.
Correct.
But I don't want to say super talented, but he's not somebody that I consider that elite level. Like, I think that he's a good player. And one of the things that I've kind of seen that's like interesting, I don't know if it's like theories that I've seen like on Twitter and TikTok, but Todd Bowley is really trying to make smart signings. Like, they don't necessarily need to be these like fantastic big money sexy signings. Like, he wants signings that are going to fit into the squad, similar to how when Liverpool sign a player, they always slot in. You rarely see Liverpool have an issue. Like, I mean, you rarely see any team have an issue like Lukaku, where we spent a ton of money on him and then we just loaned him back the next year. But
Well, that was again an exception, right? Just like Thiago Silva was the other way around. But I think you made a great point. Just adding to your point really quickly here, I think one of the strategies which was quite clear is for us to kind of make in defense, for example, if we are targeting two or three signings, I think at least one has to be Premier League proven. And the fact that Aki comes with Christensen going, and if you remember, pretty sure it was Aki and Christensen who kind of came to the Chelsea squad together under maybe Rafa Benitez, Jose Mourinho, comeback era. That was the time. So I think that was very interesting because Aki, in fact, captained a few academy sides in Chelsea. So I know it's going back in the day, but paying 40 million for Aki versus maybe Kimpembe, people are saying Kimpembe in the chat, like, again, is that the reason why Kimpembe, maybe, I think Thomas Tuchel must have seen Kimpembe as well, right, from close quarters. And maybe he feels that Aki is a better, centre back in the Premier League. I don't know. Do you have any other centre backs in mind in terms of preferences that Chelsea should go with? I know Koundé we were linked with very strongly. He's probably going to Barca, looks like. Ligt. What's your preference?
Well, I think if we sign Koulibaly, we're not signing Ligt.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain about that one. I think the main one that I kind of want to see is Levi Colwill get given a chance as well. And I think if you sign Koulibaly, you have Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, you have probably Ake. I think that that's close to completion, and then probably Colwill as well. And I think with that, you're pretty much set. I wouldn't really go looking. I would maybe look for somebody to cover like that left back spot if Marcos Alonso and Emerson leave. Like, I haven't seen what they're. I don't know if we're gonna have two left backs leave in a season, but I do think that we could upgrade that position a bit. And for me, maybe like a midfielder as well would be somewhere that I would look into personally.
Yeah, fair enough. And yes, people want Ronaldo into Chelsea, but you know what? I think maybe what happened in Lukaku. Do you agree? That's the reason why probably we are kind of hesitant with Ronaldo. As in, there were reports about Ronaldo also being offered to PSG, but again, as in maybe just speculation. Are you one of them who's saying like, okay, we kind of gotten Sterling, and yes, Sterling has actually happened. People, for those of you who don't know, is actually official. Who's that attack that you're looking at? As in, are you looking for a marquee signing, or are you looking at someone who's like a floating forward, like a Havertz kind? Any names that you feel are best suited?
I mean, I haven't seen us link with any names other than
Yeah,
Raphinha, to be honest. And so without us being linked, I mean, you can throw out any names, but I don't know any like realistic transfer targets that Chelsea have. I personally wouldn't go for Ronaldo. Like, I know that that sounds crazy, but I just don't think that that's like the type of signing that we need. I would prefer to have somebody that we can sign for the long term and like build with the team. And if you sign Ronaldo, I just feel like you have to play suited to his style of play, and he's only going to be there for a year, maybe 2 years. So maybe even if he gets goals, I don't know, it's just not worth it for me. So I could see us potentially going for another attacking option. I think it also depends on the outgoings. If Timo Werner leaves, if Hakim Ziyech leaves, like how those deals get done. So it's kind of like too early
yeah.
to tell at this point for me.
Exactly. No, that's a great point as well. Like again, we were linked very strongly. In fact, we made a bid, like you said, for Rafinha. Dembele, we were waiting if he's going to basically scapegoat us or not, and probably we did the right thing by not going for an official bid, right? Having said that, like what Rafinha was 58 million euros with it, going up to 68 million euros with add-ons included. Like just a neutral opinion. Do you think it's a miss for Chelsea? Sterling has come, but maybe if Tuchel goes a 3-5-2 system with Sterling and Havertz up top, do you feel like we should probably convince Ziyech to stay, or you feel Rafinha was a miss? Where are you on that?
Um, I mean, I was like super hyped at the prospect of having Raphinha join, but I think for the price point, like it was very expensive. And if you look at any of the reports, really, Chelsea have about like 200 million max to spend this summer, and you're going to spend almost 40% on one player. I think that that's quite high. If you look at it, Sterling for 45 million, Koulibaly for 40 million, you're getting two really good experienced players for about 85, 90 million. So for me, if you sign Raphinha, like I would have been happy with it, but maybe for like a lower price. So I'm not like too upset
Yeah.
because I just think that he was really expensive in the end.
Exactly. And again, 45 million for Sterling is a bargain. It's a bargain in today's market. I think pretty sure, and everyone would agree here from a statement that Sterling, for some reason, divides opinion. One is like, yes, we have like, I won't deny, I'm a fan from like so many years as well. I've kind of been there on the side that hey, this guy dives. I have said that as well. I won't kind of sit here and lie that. But at the same time, he is a good player. He scored. He's the second highest goal scorer for City. And for England, he starts. In fact, England kind of depends on him to kind of win matches, and that tells you a lot. He's 27. He was a Londoner. 45 million is a bargain. So I think you can argue that if he could do a job. So yeah, as in could be that Sterling could play as a winger as well at times. Who knows, right? He gets that thing back. But yes, Gaurav talks about Rafael Leao, and of course, the subject line of the video says Serge Gnabry. So I have a logic, Ellie. I don't know. Like Serge Gnabry, I know he said that he was an Arsenal player. He's not going to be, playing for any opposition like a Chelsea in the future. But don't you think that the fact that he's lived in London, he's kind of proven in the Premier League, not really proven, but at least he's been there. And of course, in today's day and age, he's not as expensive as a Rafael Leao. Plus, Bayern Munich have made like loads of signings. I know it depends on the Lewandowski situation that Manav is talking about, but don't you think that Serge Gnabry actually kind of makes sense, just like Sterling made sense?
Yeah, it could potentially be a good signing. I don't know. I'm trying not to get like too excited about anything because I feel like we've seen so many rumors and they just like kind of, dissipate, or I was super excited about Raphinha and then it just ended up not happening. So I'm kind
Yeah,
of thinking like, okay, whenever it happens, like at the end of the transfer window, that's fine. I've seen like a couple of links, but I haven't seen anything like too
yeah,
concrete.
exactly.
But again, super experienced player, so could be a good addition to the side as well.
Absolutely. And yes, again, people, I know a lot of people have joined in late. Do rewatch the first part because we discussed a lot about Chelsea's defense, and we are going to come to other clubs as well quickly if we have time because you know that Ellie covers the entire Premier League, so she knows the stuff inside out. But certainly, we'll be discussing and taking a lot more questions. I am starting a few questions, so maybe if Ellie is kind of getting late, and probably I'll take a few questions towards the end. But I'm certainly going to be coming to the questions for sure. So hit that like, and yes, definitely let's get Ellie to 12K subscribers. She deserves it and more. So let's do that
Thank
for my sake.
you.
Absolutely, she absolutely deserves. Yeah, and Kante has been injury prone along with Kova. How about we get a CDM? But again, like we discussed, Prashant, I think Ellie and I believe that Jorginho is going to stay, especially the statement that he gave, and we'll probably, as in pains me to say it, but Aspi might just leave, and that's why Jorginho might be a captain because it's difficult otherwise to kind of replace both of them in the same window. 100% I agree. And Manav says Gnabry has 10 appearances for Arsenal. Why is he very far? Exactly. You know what, Manav? Manav is a City fan, right? But he's technically a blue. You can say that. Come on, Manav. But that means that makes sense. But yeah, that also tells about Gnabry that he's one of those loyal players. I know you don't find them these days, but maybe he's one of them. So that's all the more reason what I would want him to be really honest. Having said that, again, now very few have played for three top clubs. Sterling, like talk about loyalty, right? So Sterling, obviously, he was a Liverpool guy. As in he's actually learned his football in Liverpool, and then he went to Man City, played 7 years. I don't remember, Ali, that have been many top level players who kind of played for three top, English clubs competing at the same time within a span of 7 to 8 years. So I know in terms of fitment, fantastic, and of course he's an Englishman, kind of helps having so many Englishmen in our team as well. But how is the fan base going to take? Because I know the fan base was kind of divisive, right? So what do you have advice to the fan base in terms of Sterling? Definitely he'll feel a royal blue, right?
I think it's kind of like I don't. It's not like I think people don't get as excited about it because Sterling is somebody that you watch week in week out, and so you kind of know what he brings. And with some other players, like I don't watch every single league every weekend. I just don't have the time to do it. So I think that this hype kind of builds about these other players. But for me personally, I would say like I think Sterling is going to be a very good signing. His numbers are incredible. Even the past couple of seasons when he hasn't had like an out and out nine to play with, he's still bagging double digit goals, which is something that a lot of players at Chelsea can't say because we haven't had somebody in the Premier League who's been a consistent goal scorer since Eden Hazard and Diego Costa left. So personally, I'm very excited about this signing. Like I think he's versatile. I think he's fast. He's very good at taking on players one-on-one. I think that he's just going to cause like some chaos in the side, hopefully open up spaces elsewhere in the attack, hopefully link up. He's very fast, like very quick thinker. So hopefully that kind of like jolts the rest of the team because one of the criticisms that I had sometimes last season is that the team was just moving the ball so slow. And I think that hopefully he's can be that one that kind of like starts everything and really helps Chelsea to convert some of the chances that we've been creating but missing.
Exactly. You know what? I was just checking out the video. Like, one thing is pretty sure, Ellie, like the content creator that you are, come on, Chelsea should be having a video ready, right? As in, it's just that they've kind of, got him to pose and got him to kind of do. As in, people are kind of underwhelmed by the kind of, announcement that has come about. We've been waiting for a couple of weeks. Ellie, come on. As in, please tell me that there's a better video coming out in terms of the, announcement video.
I wish I knew. I
Exactly,
would
exactly.
assume so.
Right, right, exactly. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he is a Chelsea player now. And for me, again, a top in England international, someone like Eddie explained it beautifully, like someone who could hit those spaces that we all know that our team kind of is good at. But not only that, he can actually score you the goals compared to the people who are there. And again, hopefully, people are going to learn from him. Especially being an Englishman helps for sure. And yes, this is the question that I had as well, Ellie. Do you see Sterling playing as a floating forward up front along with Kai Havertz or just himself? What do you think is the best role right now, having seen the recent months for Man City?
Um, I kind of like view Kai as that nine, even though maybe he's not like that out and out nine. I
Yeah,
think like
yeah.
he's kind of becoming that nine for us, and so in my opinion, he's a nine, and I kind of say that. For Sterling, I think we could see him playing either. In my mind, he's playing on the left hand side, but he also can play very well on the right hand side. So I think that we're seeing him as a winger, and that's why I kind of mentioned like I'm super interested to see what formation Thomas Tuchel goes with because in my mind, like he would do really well in like a back four-ish type formation as a out and out winger. But obviously formation is fluid, and I think like Thomas
Yeah.
Tuchel is really smart about that, and we've seen it in past games as well that you have a back five, but then somebody drops in, or you have a four and then somebody drops in to make it like a little bit more defensively sturdy. But that's kind of where I see him like on either side. In my mind, it's the left, but I don't know. I never know what Tuchel is going to do. So watch him play
You
like
know what?
as a footer
You
or
said
as
it
a
right.
nine.
I remember again. I was for people who kind of didn't know. I was lucky enough to be on Ellie's channel a year ago. It was a Champions League final. I remember this was the point that we discussed. It was a short conversation. I remember, but the point was like if anyone gets Tuchel's 11 right in any match, that guy kind of deserves a lot of credit. It's so difficult to kind of get it right, and it's lottery literally. But yeah, Mikhail again a member of Almighty Blues FC, become Mikhail, and he writes very well as well for people who didn't know. But yeah. Sterling's arrival means someone must leave. Like Lukaku has left, just a reminder, Mikhail. Having said that, I think Ziyech, we can agree that probably as much as I would love a left-footed winger there, but we cannot see Ziyech starting many games, especially if Sterling starts on the right, right?
Yeah, I think the names that I've kind of seen have been Hakeem Ziyech, Timo Werner, and Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
I think Christian Pulisic is probably the least likely to move out of those three, and not only from a player perspective, because I really rate him and I do hope that he can gain some consistency, because I think if he's consistent, like he can be absolutely lethal. It's just like finding that consistency. But also with the American ownership thing, I don't know, having an American in the team, I think it's like also good. Um,
Yeah.
for a marketing
Certainly else.
perspective. Obviously, you don't keep players just for that, but I think it's like a little positive as well.
Correct.
So if I'm looking at those two players, Timo Werner, who's on 270 a week, I think that's kind of like a high contract that maybe you want to try to get off your books if he hasn't been so consistent. And Hakeem Ziyech as well, who I had super high hopes for. And he's delivered these moments of brilliance, like, oh, wow, I can't believe that he did that. Like, what would we do without him in the team? And then other times that he's just not in games or just doesn't
Yeah.
even start games.
Exactly.
So I think that those two players are probably the ones that I would say are most likely to leave at this point.
Yeah, look, man, you're the puns turning with also dribble team Ankit. Come on, Manchester United fan in the house. But yes, talk MU, another Manchester United fan in the house. And yes, we will quickly, have Ellie's views on other transfers as well for other clubs. So, what do you think? As in, I know Spurs, they're kind of creating madness in the neutral's opinion. Antonio Conte, we've been there. We've seen what Antonio Conte can do in his second season. What is your feel about Spurs, and how do you rate their transfer window?
I mean, I think they've been signing like a lot of players. I don't have the list like off the top of my head.
Yeah, I
I think it's
remember
like
Bissouma
Perisic.
for sure, Longley, of course, Perisic, you said it right, and Richarlison, four at the back of my mind, I can remember.
I
So,
didn't know if Charleston was like done and dusted yet.
yeah, it's done.
But not gonna lie, like the Spurs team was looking really good, and I thought like as soon as Antonio Conte became their manager, like they're kind of ones to watch out for, and they had these like ups and downs. I remember that there was this period where they won one game and they lost one game, and it was just win lose win lose win lose for like a while. And then finally they won like two games in a row. But I think Harry Kane is in a better place. So he
Mhm.
didn't have like the best start of season, so then he like saved his season towards the end of the season. But I think he's staying at Spurs. He's happy. Son is incredible. He's like one of my favorite players outside of Chelsea, because I just think he's an
Yeah,
incredible goal scorer. And we know what Antonio Conte can create, basically. And now he's having this full preseason with the team. And they've signed a lot of players, and he's been back. So I wouldn't say I'm like excited, because obviously I don't want like Spurs to do like better
exactly.
than
Yeah,
us.
same here.
There's a lot of competition, but from if I take off my Chelsea hat from a neutral, just like football lover perspective, I'm excited to see what he does with the team.
Interesting. Because I had put up a poll here, right? For everyone, people, yes, do take that poll as well, because I see that people have voted for Spurs. But would you say it's Spurs, City getting a Haaland, as in, come on, as in that makes them stronger? But the fact that they're losing Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal, and of course Sterling to us, and of course Ake in a sense to us as well, hopefully. Like, do you see because of that reason you might rate Spurs as a better transfer window, or you would say no, City has got the best transfer window until now, which is the best club for you in EPL?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, City signing Holland, I think is really really big, because that's a position that they have wanted, that they haven't had really a striker since Aguero left, but they still score a ton of goals. But I think the thing with City is like I think that they kind of need. I don't know if it's like more experience, because they do have more experienced players, but it's kind of like if they want to take that leap to the Champions League, I think that there's a mentality thing there that it's kind of like crumpled a bit so many
Yeah.
times that they kind of like are always going back to think about that. And Tottenham have signed a lot of players as well. I don't know.
Yeah. You know
I
what?
don't
If
know
I'm
which
being
one is
honest, I think Ellie makes a great point there about just the mentality, and that's what Haaland kind of elevates, right? Haaland brings that mentality for me. He has that crazy. He's got a crazy mix of. I know I'm going to say big things, and in terms of skill or in terms of performances, is not there yet. But I think he's got that attitude of a Drogba and a Costa. That kind of mix, which is probably why we wanted him last summer. But again, Aman has got some news for us from Fabrizio Romano, who's just tweeted. Chelsea will make a decision on Levi Colwill's future soon. He's likely to leave on a permanent deal this summer due to Blues' defensive signings. I know, Ellie, you've got to go, but before going, I would like you to react on the youngsters. You mentioned about Colwill hopefully getting some chances. But among say Colwell, Lujon Sterling, Gallagher, you mentioned about Broha as well. I know Broha, West Ham are kind of scouting and they want him, but again he's gone to the US finally along with Sterling to join up the squad. Which youngster would you say can have a breakthrough season this summer or this season for us? Like any, if you would predict any one youngster, are you calling Levi Colwell, Armando Broha being a fit? No.
Well, now with the recent news from 5 minutes ago, it seems like Colwell is going to be leaving Chelsea on a permanent deal, which is sad. I think for me, there's two, Conor Gallagher and
Yeah,
Armando Broya.
yeah,
I think that Broya could bring something different. I thought that he did pretty good for Southampton in a side that struggled to create chances. And Conor Gallagher had his breakout Premier League season. And again, I think it depends on how we play, because I typically see Conor playing a little bit higher up the pitch. I don't see him sitting in that same position as like a Kovacic or a Jorginho. But I really am interested to see how he is going to play in preseason and where Tuchel kind of experiments. And I think we'll kind of get like some more hints and insight as we can if we can hopefully see the preseason games. I know that they're on a pretty ungodly hour for anybody outside of the US. But I'll be watching them, hopefully.
me too, me too. Trust me, I will be as well, and that's what we all love it. But again, yeah, I know a lot of discussions here. Last question before I leave, like I know Matty Cash. People are kind of saying that he can be a great. Like again, there are a lot of options in the market, right? But Ellie, do you agree that again, for some reason, we don't get backups easily at Chelsea or like top pros, and that's something that has been a challenge in recent times in terms of the transfer window. I have to say Pep Guardiola kind of has that over say Tuchel at this point in time, but of course we love Tuchel. We feel that he'll be there. He'll be here forever. Come on, he's got to be here forever. I feel,
I
but
hope so.
I
Mhm.
think we were linked to Serginho just as well. Again, someone who kind of lives in the US as well. You think you mentioned about the American factor? Serginho just might be someone that you're seeing as a fit in Chelsea. You can play wing back both the sides.
Um, I mean, I've seen links between us and Barcelona. I know that Taboli met, and I think he might have been one of the names that was discussed.
Yeah,
I don't watch the U.S. men's national team as much as I would like to because of the time difference. When I'm in Madrid, the games are on at like 3 a.m., so I'm just not able to watch. But from what I've kind of read and like the highlights that I've seen, Dest is like a very good young player, so he could potentially be a good backup. But I think like the main point to make here is that like Chelsea need a lot of work done in the squad. There are a lot of positions that we need to fix. We have a lot of players that have been here from different manager regimes, and we're trying. I think now the goal is for Thomas Tuchel to identify who he wants as his core group of players and who he wants to leave, replace those players, and then make sure we have backups as well. So it's not going to be just this transfer window task. It's going to be over the next 2 to 3 years. I think that we're going to see pretty significant changes with the squad.
yeah, fair enough. And here people are putting their predictions. Ellie, before you leave, come on. Top four predictions. I know it changes every week for me, the way transfers are going. But at this point in time, again, disclaimer: it's not like the final prediction. But what do you think? Top four, or what are your expectations from Chelsea and from the top four?
Um, well, my expectations for Chelsea is that I don't know. I think I'm more of like a I'm okay waiting type thing, like as long as I
Yeah,
see progress. And the fact is that Chelsea have been like 15 to 20 points behind the Premier League winners for the past like 4 or 5 seasons since we won the league ourselves. And that's a massive gap that I don't think is going to be closed within a year. So my goal for the season is to have like a very good run in the Champions League. I'm not going to say, let's win it. Like, obviously, that would be amazing, but I don't know. There's not like such a high probability of any team winning the Champions League. It's really luck and the squad. But I would say if we could get to like the semis at least of the Champions League, win like the FA Cup, and then close the gap, like maybe be within 5 points instead of 20 of the leaders. And for the top four, it's going to be tough because I think City and Liverpool are basically set. I don't see either of those teams dropping, especially with the reinforcements that they've made in their squad, even though Liverpool did lose Sadio Mane. Um, I would say Chelsea is in there, and then the fourth spot, like Arsenal have a good team, Tottenham have a good team, United, I'm not as sure about, but they've been making some signings. But for now, I'm leaning towards Spurs.
Wow, wow. You heard it there, guys. You heard it there. Let's see. But again, I'm pretty sure it's going to change depending on what happens between now and the start of the season and beyond as well. But again, I know that we're kind of stuck on time. But again, big up to everyone who's joined. Again, I can see a few members here. Mana, big up. A lot of others who are in the chat. Again, I have started the questions. Hopefully, I'll take it on the next stream. But for now, I think it makes sense to kind of let Ellie go. Ellie, before you go, any last words? Generally for the Premier League, and of course, wish you the best as well for the upcoming season. Pretty sure we kind of will sync up again. But any last words? Please have a go.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And yeah, if you want to follow me, my YouTube is my name, Elizabeth Helenek. It's pretty easy. My social media handles are all different because my name is too long to fit. So at Ellie Helenek on Twitter.
Mine is longer, so I can relate to you.
Yeah. Like I'm one character off being able to put my entire name, so that's why it's at Ellie Helenek on Twitter, and then at Elizabeth Helenek on Instagram and TikTok as well. So yeah, make sure to follow me on there and make sure to sub to this channel as well.
Thank you. Means a lot, of course. And everyone, don't forget, as you know, we are always live almost daily on Almighty Sports Plus as well as Almighty Blues FC. Do not forget to hit the likes and subscribe to Elizabeth's channel, as she mentioned. Huge fan. And of course, for people who missed out, you missed out a lot. Do rewatch, but we'll see you soon. Hopefully, we'll make a third signing very soon. That's going to happen. Pretty sure these two are in the bag, and we have a great preseason. Not just Chelsea, but of course, a good Premiership season that I'm looking forward to. Till next time, take care.